Alright, so welcome back to the show. This is going to be episode 3 of the Grounded podcast. It's just a solo one today with myself. Sid will probably do her own in a little bit, but I'm not really too sure. So today, talking about soul, and she kind of left it up to me to whatever I want to talk about. So, excuse me. Since I get to pick my own, I'm going to do the military route because that's what I know best. It's been my life for the last 6 years. So how do I incorporate or be conscious of the idea of my soul through a lot of these things? And I probably didn't realize because like differentiating mind and soul is a little bit difficult sometimes. Like you can probably get how it seems like there's a lot of overlap between the two, but to differentiate mind from soul, your mind is more like, think intellectual stuff that you're doing, trying to stay sharp throughout certain events, or staying sharp throughout the day, or like even emotions can kind of be, I would like put that in the mind category as well. Your soul is like strictly talking to like your heart, I guess. So as far as like where I'm going to take this today, I want to talk about selection for me, and how that's when I found out like, oh, this is what it means to take care of your soul throughout the day. So I was going through selection for the second time. It was after I had already been at my unit for a little bit, I decided to put in a package to go to a different unit. So I had another selection it was pretty short, honestly. But either way, got picked up to go to that selection. And it was kind of like the interview of a lifetime. It was everything that I had ever worked for, and it was like this huge deal. And I was like, I definitely made it a big deal, don't get me wrong. But I don't know what it was, but when I got there, I was like, I need to like feel normal throughout this entire thing and not make it seem like it is the biggest thing that I've ever done, even though it was, and probably the most important at the time. And we're getting things started. And I remember like we went out, grabbed some food. We were still just kind of like hanging out, and it felt very like selection-y and very interviewy and very competition-y. Like nothing about it was feeling normal. Um, and I didn't like it. Like I didn't mind it. I was like, yeah, this is what the course is, whatever. But it was like, this is not what I want it to be for me. Otherwise, I know I'm not going to be successful. And it wasn't until I got back that night to the hotel by myself, and it was probably 11 o'clock or whatever, and I laid down in bed, and I knew I had to be up early in the morning to get things going, but I was super used to watching Netflix at nighttime. Like I didn't even use the TV. Like I would have a TV in my room at my house, but I would never use it. I'd just like roll over on my side and use my phone. But like regardless of how tired, in the past, regardless of how tired I was always gonna be like, I'm gonna go home and like I'm gonna throw on an episode of something on Netflix and probably pass out watching it within the first 2 minutes. But it was like a comfort thing for me. And so I got there after the first night, and I rolled over, I threw on Netflix, when like watched, I don't even know what I was watching. It was 2021, so somebody helped me out. What was popular in 2021? I don't really remember, but I was probably watching something weird anyways. And yeah, threw it on for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and passed out. I had my alarm set though, so I wasn't too worried about like I had my alarm set and my phone was plugged in. So I'm like, I can watch this and pass out. And if my phone just like happens to fall out of my hand, it's still going to go off at the right time. I wasn't really worried about it. I was also going to wake up because you have the nerves and you're like, I'm like, your body just wakes you up. But so I did that. And then I woke up the next day and I realized at the end of that night, like when I had watched Netflix, which sounds so stupid and so small, that was the one thing that like made me feel good inside and made me feel normal. It was like good for my soul, which is kind of what we're talking about. I did that for like the first couple days we were in a hotel, so I got to do it every single night that we were in the hotel. Like we'd be up till whatever time, doing tasks, and then we'd be up the next morning, pretty early to do the same thing throughout the entire day. But regardless of how tired I was kind of in the mindset of, well, I'm already like kind of sleep deprived or sleep deprived. So what is 5 minutes really going to do at this point? Like, I'm already there. It doesn't really matter this like anymore. Like, might as well make myself feel normal. Um, and I continued to do that for the next 4 days. And I was like, this is the only thing that's making me feel normal. But it was like so worth it because I'd wake up the next day. And I'm not saying that I was looking forward to getting in bed and watching like a show for 5 minutes at night, but it was like when you're going through a selection course. I don't know if anybody listening has ever been through one, but you have to set like little wins for yourself. I know some people will say like just get to lunch. Like you can make it to lunch and then you can think about making it to dinner later, but like just get to lunch. Mine is like just get to the Netflix show and then you can feel normal for a little bit because you don't want to make it bigger than it is because you already know that it's huge and you can't like ignore the fact that it's a huge deal. But yeah, so I did that and it truly made me feel normal. And now I try to like, I took that and I ended up being successful at that course. And I've kind of taken that now with me into everything that I do. I'm not like in an environment necessarily where I need to worry about like feeling normal because it's a super huge event going on all the time. But if I ever do feel stressed out or that I'm tired or there's just a lot going on, I know I can carve out 5 minutes of my day to do something normal and or make myself laugh. Like shout out to what's his name, Sebastian Maniscalco. He's like, I don't know why, but I think he's the funniest dude on earth. And I'll throw on like 5 minutes of YouTube just so I can laugh at the end of the day. Because like I'm not gonna go to bed just like staring at the ceiling, angry or stressed out or like amped up. Like I'm gonna finish my day on a laugh, or I'm gonna finish my day feeling normal. Um, and I think that is something that you don't have to be in any of those environments to be doing it. You can do it like literally every single day, no matter what your job is, what your job title is, where you're at in your career, whether it be the biggest interview of your life or just the day-to-day stress. You need to do something for, I would say, 5 minutes a day that is going to make you feel normal or that's going to make you laugh. I'm going to be like the power of laughing, but the power of laughter, like, or like being happy is like it flips the lens on your entire day. You know what I mean? Like you could have the worst day and then you get into bed and you watch the funniest stuff for 5 minutes and you're like, my day was awesome. You know what? And then it gives you a new perspective on everything that happened throughout the day too. You're like, man, maybe that wasn't so bad. Like I was being dramatic. I can like totally get over myself and stop complaining about the small stuff. Like it at least that's how it is for me. It totally like shifts my mindset, puts a new lens on how my day went down. And now as an instructor at the start of where my career or like people getting into the career that I'm in, where they start, we go out and do like field exercises, and then there's some like harder training events within those, and you can see the stress like boiling over on some of the students as they're going through. And it's my job to like keep the stress there, don't get me wrong, but it's now my job to break them, because hopefully the tasks and the other stuff that we're doing throughout the day gives them what they need and gives us what we need as far as like feedback and information on how somebody's doing. I don't need to, like, at some point you have to be a mentor as well, because like my job isn't to fail them. My job is to make the scenarios hard, the training hard, so that they can prove it to themselves that one, they belong here, that they belong in the career field, and then two, that they can like make it through themselves. I think I read a study and they're calling it reach back moments. So, like you do something super, super hard, we'll say one time, and it like, it gives you, when you're doing something hard in the future, you have that moment that you can like reach back to, be like, yeah, I've done something hard, I can do this as well. But before I get sidetracked, that's my job. But at the same time, I have to mentor them and I want to see them be successful. So like right before they're like, I'll get them to that tipping point. Um, and then just be like, hey, like at the end of today, like today's going to suck. Tonight is going to suck. Whatever, however long we're doing this is going to suck. Make sure you get your tasks done at the end of the night. Your priorities of work is what we call them. Make sure you get those done. But don't forget to feel normal for 5 minutes. Don't make this bigger than it has to be. Because I want to see all them make it through. Like the people that aren't going to make it through they're not going to. I can tell them, be normal for 5 minutes and it's not going to make a difference. But I feel like I have to mentor them. But yeah, so like, anyways, I'll tell them like, hey, make sure you do something at the end of today to like just feel normal. And maybe it's somebody cracks a stupid joke, and because typically you're like in your little camp at the end of the night, or you set up a camp and people are pulling security as you're doing tasks, but it's more of like the night has ended. Doesn't mean you're sleeping, but the night's kind of ended. But I'm totally cool with somebody cracking a joke to make it feel normal. Because then I know like that you're human as well. I don't want just a bunch of robots coming through and into the career field. Like, it's not good. But yeah, so I've seen it work. I told somebody to do that and they came back to me and said that it had worked for them. And I was like, okay, so maybe this isn't just like a me thing. This is a thing that like more people should probably do, because I think life now is just so stressful. And we talked about it in the previous episode where everything is so hyper competitive and you're always stressed out, and you lose sight of one, who you are, and two, of the task, and like three, just I know I said mind was more like related to emotions, but you kind of lose sight of what it is to understand your emotions, like what happiness is and what happiness feels like and what normal feels like. You lose that because you are just so caught up in the rat race. Is that what everybody calls it? The rat race. I think it's so weird, but yeah, everybody gets so caught up in the rat race that you forget to like be a normal human being for 5 seconds. Not my goal for you, but my recommendation for you is at the end of every day, and I guess it doesn't even have to be at the end of every day. When you have time throughout the day, which I know you do, because I was in a course that you should not have the time to do this, and I found the time because it was important to me. Find the time to do something that makes you laugh. It could even make you cry, right? When you cry, that puts a totally different lens on the rest of your day or the rest of your evening, or when you wake up the next day. Like, you ever cried and then you're like, I needed that. I'm not sitting there everybody's gonna dog me like, oh, you cried. Like, I really don't care. I was gonna swear. I'm not going to. This is a family friendly podcast. But yeah, like, feel an emotion. I would say stray away from anger. But yeah, cry, laugh, do something that's going to make you feel normal for 5 seconds, for 30 seconds, or for 5 minutes. If you do that enough times, it doesn't have to be like an everyday thing after that. Once you kind of get the idea that we're human beings and like nothing is really that serious. There's definitely events that are that serious, and there are things that have happened that are that serious, but it's not serious to the point that you can't remain human. You can't remain an emotional being. I sound so woo-saw right now, but like you get what I'm saying, right? Like there's nothing that is going to happen in this world that will completely make you remove all emotions and all humanity from like your being. Like you have to just understand that it is not that serious. And I think we're gonna touch on some events that like have happened to us, with our daughter specifically, and then like how my career and her career and how our lives have kind of shifted, because of that. And like that was a serious event, but it wasn't so serious where like how I said I watched Netflix. We were playing, how was it? The fighter jet game on your phone. And Sid would play like Farmville or something in the hospital when we were there. Because it like made us feel normal for a little bit. Because we were like about to go to bed and we were just sitting in the hospital room with her the entire time. And you're just like trapped in there. And we're like, okay, what are we gonna do that makes us feel normal? I also went to Starbucks every single morning. It opened up at 4 a.m. and I'd walk down the stairs because we're in the children's hospital. I'd walk down the stairs and then walk 3 minutes, which it was like 0.7 miles. It was like so routine. It was 2 weeks straight every day. That's why I said 3 minutes, 0.7 miles. It was like, I remember seeing it on my phone. Yeah, but I was like, I'm going to do that every single morning. Just takes time, make us feel normal. Get her some Starbucks, get myself some Starbucks. But it's one of those things that we just did. And I think it's a really powerful thing when you just do something that makes you feel normal. I don't know what you're going through, whoever you are listening to this, but I can guarantee that there's been a moment where you felt overwhelmed, you felt stressed out, you felt angry. You've laid in bed and you just didn't feel right going to bed. You've been sleep deprived, whatever it may be. I can guarantee if you're listening to this, you've been through that because everybody has to some degree. And maybe it's continuous, but I recommend you do something at the end of every day or whenever to make yourself feel normal. Okay, so that kind of wraps it up. For my little solo. Sid told me to keep it to 20 minutes, and I'm at 18 minutes and 18 seconds, which is perfect. I'll do a little segue to the next one. I think she's gonna probably do a solo one for the next one, and then I know we want to do some sort of like introduction, whether it be, like top 3 of these things, or would you rather, or if you could pick any place in the world, where would you travel? So if you guys have any of those questions or any prompts for us, please drop them in. Because I don't want to like just hop into being like, oh, mind, body, and soul. And it's all like super serious and super monotone all the time. Like I want to have some fun and just see what people are like. Because I don't want to just sit here and talk to a camera. And just be like, listen to me with me and Sid talking. When we say that we want people to engage in the comments and like reach out through Instagram or however it is, we truly just want to build up like just a group, a community of people, friends that we can share experiences with, because I think we got to a point where we felt pretty isolated after like when we were at my previous unit, and then kind of through the move and with everything that happened with Cleo, or excuse me, my daughter. It like isolated us, and we got to thinking that we're just like, we need to like reach out to people, and I think a podcast is a great way to just start a conversation with people and kind of build a little community. So drop some of those questions in the comments wherever it is, but I'd love to hear about it. yeah, expect a solo probably from Sid on the next episode. And then we will transition back to body. So something that we find is important for the body, we're going to bring to the table. So thank you for listening to my little rambling session, and we will see you next time.